profession, one of the oldest and most noble of professions. A chance for you to impact not only patients' lives, but the culture of a hospital. There's a saying that goes, it's the hand that authorizes the mouth to speak. So when you act, what you do is going to be a significant part of your behavior through life. I want to tell you a story. Some years ago, quite a few years ago now, I had a group of students like these with me in the country of India. We were working with Mother Teresa. Many of you don't know that name anymore, but Mother Teresa was a famous Catholic nun who ran homes for the dying and other things in various parts of the world. And Mother Teresa had a lot of activities in the city of Calcutta, one of the poorest cities in India. And our students were there working with her and caring for the sick, going to the homes for the dying. They would go out in the morning and find people who had been left by the roadside that were in the process of dying and bring them and care for them in the last few hours of their life. We had quite a number of students with us on that trip. And so we would in the morning spread out from our little guest house and go to the clinics, go to the orphanages, and go to the homes for the dying. I had to leave a bit early the last day I was with the group. I went around by taxi visiting the various places that the students were, and ended up at the home for the dying and watched one of our senior medical students there. He'd been there all day long caring for one little Indian man that only had a few days left to live. He'd bathed him, he'd fed him, he'd cared for all of his bodily needs through the day. At the end of the day, as he got ready to leave, the old man recognized that it was about to part. And he bent over in the Hindi religion, the gesture of utmost respect, and took the feet of Kevin. And then gradually straightened up and clasped him in his arms. Each of them speaking to the other in a language neither could understand, but watching the knitting of the human soul, the coming together of common human values. That's the value of the profession you're going into, connecting with people in that sort of way. Maya Angelou, one of our poet laureates in the U.S., said it this way: people will forget what you say to them. They'll even forget what you did to them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So today, as you enter the nursing profession, I want you to remember those values. I do bring you greetings from a very special lady who first walked here on the Ishaka campus about 5 years ago, Dr. Mildred Stilson. She and her husband, graduates from Loma Linda, came to help develop Ishaka just a few years after it started as a clinic, and started the School of Nursing. Dr. Stilson is still living at 102 years of age, and wanted me to bring a special greetings to you from her. So today I want to talk to you about 7 values. These are 7 values that we use at Loma Linda that are key to who we are, to what we teach, and I believe they can be 7 values that are important for you as well. I remember them by the mnemonic "See with Jesus' eyes." C as in the letter compassion, with the word WITH stands for wholeness, integrity, teamwork, and humility. The J in Jesus stands for justice, and the E in eyes stands for excellence. So our core values that we talk about that I would encourage you to adopt are compassion, wholeness, integrity, teamwork, humility, justice, and excellence. See with Jesus' eyes. And let me talk about each one of them briefly. The first is compassion. What is compassion? How do we teach compassion? Can I teach you in the classroom compassion? I don't think so. It comes from deep within. You see, compassion is not sympathy. Compassion is not, I feel sorry for you. Compassion is engaging, helping you. In the center of our campus at Loma Linda, we have a sculpture of the Good Samaritan. The story from the Bible. You remember the story. The Levite, who was the teacher of the day, the rabbi, the pastor of the day, both came upon this man left by the roadside on the way to Jericho. He'd been beat up by robbers, his money stolen, and left there to die. When they came by, they looked over, paused, noticed what had happened, but they asked the question, if I stop to help, what will happen to me? A little later, another man came by from a different tribe, from the Samaritan tribe, looked over there and asked a different question. If I don't stop to help, what will happen to him? And you know the story, how he helped him, put him on his donkey, carried him to the nearest town where he could get help, paid for his care, and served him. That's compassion. And as professionals in the nursing profession and midwifery, you will need to demonstrate compassion. The next value is wholeness. We talk a lot about wholeness, whole person care, recognizing the need to take care of the whole person, all aspects of their life. Too often in the health professions, we tend to take care of their illness, make a diagnosis, treat them, and don't recognize all the other aspects of life. A young doctor was recently presenting his case, one of his first cases, to his chief, his attending physician. He had practiced well. He knew the history and physical. He knew the findings. He knew the laboratory results. He presented them all flawlessly all the way through. When he got done, the chief doctor paused for a second and said, "And what was the name of the man's dog?" The man's dog. He never thought of that. And said, "You find out the name of the man's dog." So after rounds that day, that young doctor went back and talked to the man and realized how central that man's dog was to his life. When he connected with the man through his pet, it made all the difference in understanding the world that that man had come from. So wholeness, a key part of your own personal lives and also part of those you care for. Integrity is the next one, the I in the word with. Integrity. Doing what you should when no one is watching. If no one were to find out, are you doing the right thing? That's a critical aspect of being a health professional, is integrity. Being honest with your patients. Not telling them something different, telling them what they can handle, what they need to know. The next word is teamwork. The T in with for teamwork. Recognizing that you are part of a team, a critical part of a team. There's a saying that says, farming looks easy if your plow is a pencil and you're 1,000 miles from the cornfield. In other words, it's easy to be a supervisor. It's easy to sit in your office and plan. But without connecting with reality, you cannot be an effective leader. The story is told of a group of nursing students taking their final exam. They had prepared well for it. They were working through the exam, answering the various questions. Finally got to the last question, and the students that were ahead started kind of gasping, wondering, looked up at the teacher, what in the world is this? The final question on the exam was, what is the name of the lady who cleans this classroom every night? For 25% of your credit, what is the name of that lady? How many of you know that? How many of you know take time to connect with those around you to truly make a team that can be effective? Teamwork is absolutely critical in the health world today, recognizing the role that each one of us plays in so many different ways. The next value is humility. Really. And you're graduates. You've accomplished it. You passed your test. You're expecting us to be humble? And yet that's an absolutely critical value of professionals today. There's a saying I like. It says, work for a cause, not for applause. Live to inspire, not to impress. Don't try to make your presence noticed. Make your absence felt. That's humility. And never forget that. As you move up in the line in your responsibilities, you will become the nurse in charge, the midwife in charge. You'll become the mama kubwa, the bwana kubwa at your hospital. But never forget to connect with those around you and become part of the team. The next value, J, is for justice. The J in Jesus. What is justice in healthcare? You will face some tough calls, I can tell you. When you're working in a hospital, do you give the same amount of care to the poor beggar, homeless, that comes in because he drank too much, as you do to the mother of a wealthy person? You will face those kind of questions all the time. Is who do you care for? What is justice in the healthcare business? And the final value is excellence. You've got a great education here at Ishaka. And now it's time for you to share that, to move on with your life in serving others. Maintaining that excellence, maintaining that skill set, growing